So I thought I'd do a little analysis of how the tree fell. Not why, but how it fell. I mean, why is, I guess, too much of it rotted. And there was just so much weight coming out on this side. It was just mammoth amount of weight, and it just couldn't hold it. Most likely dirt went down in here over the years, and eventually it just rotted too much. You can see this was all good wood right through here. Over here, questionable. And then over there is probably good. It's hard to say because so much dirt fell in here. Anyways, it did fall. So at one point, all this was full, covering the house. It was way over the house. The leaves extended over to the chimney over here. Well, you can't see it from down here, but the chimney is over straight in from here. Maybe see it from over here. Yeah, right there. So the leaves were over the chimney. I was thinking I would have to go up there and trim them somehow. And it was extending way beyond this tree here. It was pretty much starting to hide this tree. So they were over into this range, the width. So a huge area was covered. This was all in the shade. This limb, notice how it's laying backwards. The tree fell this way. This limb is laying that way. Also an interesting point, this railing here was over in this area right here. I think, yeah. Or was it over there? I'm not even sure. There's some that's crushed underneath here. Yeah, I guess some's crushed right there, probably. Well, I'm not sure where this one came from. Probably threw it from over here. So this limb's laying the opposite way. Also notice on this limb, we have this area it was hit. We know that something hit the house way up there. So I would say this is the limb that hit the house. When it was coming down, it couldn't clear the house in time, so it hit right there. Tree's going one way, the limb's being held back, and that caused this limb to fracture. And look how big it is. I can't even fit my hand halfway around it. So that little part up there catching the house fractured it right off of there, which is pretty amazing that it could do that. But if you think about it, one's going one way as fast as it can go. The other one is being held up. So something had to give. Fortunately, it wasn't the house that gave too much. The house gave some damage up there, but not much. The house did not give too much. I guess that's about all I have to say about it falling. It went really fast. A neighbor was out walking his dogs. He did see it come down. He said it was better than a cup of coffee. We do have some slate that was tore off from the spot that did hit. It is the older slate. I can tell. I had replaced a bunch of slate up there, but apparently I did not replace that area because these are not the new slate. So in a way that's good. Now I'll just have replacing some more old slate with new slate. It's not a big deal to fix, but to do that I have to get the lift in here. So I did clean up the other yards down where so all the tree that was over the road. So it extended almost the full distance of the road, the Athley Street side. All that material was taken down to the carriage house, put on the lawn. Some was taken up to the house right away. All that is now removed and out of here. So we have a lot of firewood right here. We're thinking of ideas for this part of the tree, or at least some of it. This is mammoth. I'm going to do some measurements, but we're looking at, 20 feet to right here, another 20, another 20. I'm guessing 60, 70 feet, but we're going to get the tape measure out. We're going to measure the height of the tree, as we can measure from right here all the way up through. I've left these branches on. I switched over to working on the roof, but by leaving these branches, the leaves on the tree as long as we can, or at least until the leaves are totally dead, what they're doing is they're pulling moisture from the trunk. So they're drying out this wood, and they're sucking a lot of moisture, and that's why the leaves, even over a week later, still they're not like this. This is what they would be if they had no moisture to pull. But instead, these leaves are still flexible. They're still pulling water from this tree. There's a lot of water in that trunk. So these guys are pulling it out. That'll make better wood if I was to cut it into lumber or to do anything with it. The drier it gets before it's cut, the less it's going to crack. And then there's other precautions we need to take if we are going to produce lumber or wood products out of it. Maybe coat the surface with linseed oil. I heard one person using Elmer's glue to decrease the drying rate. The slower it dries, to some extent, the better. But you do want it to dry some. There is a tree in there we will try to not damage. That will be difficult because when you start cutting stuff down, it wants to land on it. But once we're ready, we'll let the leaves pull as much as they can. As long as these leaves look like this. Now the ones on top are looking drier, but there's still nothing like this. This is totally dry. There was no more moisture to pull. And that's because this broke off. See, this end is broke. I think that's all I got to say about the tree falling. It does leave a really big opening here. A lot of debate going on as to should the rest of it come down. I pretty much have decided I'm not taking the rest down. I want to see what happens. This is the part that's scary right here. This is a mammoth piece as big as the one that fell. Fortunately, it does go away from the house at the top. But the problem is, if this one were to fall that way, it would most likely get hung up on these others. I don't think it could take them all down. But I don't know, one guy I talked with said this will outlast us, so he was very confident that this was not going to be the end of this tree. So time will tell. We have some odd branches that stick way out now. I don't know if this tree will most likely start sending out a lot of branches this way towards the light. That's good in that it'll fill out the tree, but it's bad in that it's going to put a lot more weight on this side once it starts doing that towards the house. But it may never come back this way too much because most of it's going towards the light, which that's where the sun comes up. Okay. Next I'll get some measurements and we'll see what they do, how they compare to when we originally purchased the house.